Okay.
It was a lot of fun. So
Hey guys, we're Webb Robotics. I'm Lee.
I'm Ollie.
I'm Kate.
Not Taylor.
And today we're going to be talking about how simple business systems can make your season way less stressful. So the goal is to help your team stay organized before, during, and after the build season.
So what is business management? The business team, they do all the general tasks for your team that involves finding sponsors. They track your income and expenses. They pitch, they give presentations to potential partners for them to help supply your team. They identify and apply for grants. And then, they track your team partnership so your team can stay running.
Alright, so why does this matter? You don't have a great robotics team without organization, right? You need to maintain all the grants, pitches, keep all that in order to know where your money is going, what you're doing, what parts you're buying. And also for like smaller teams, you don't need a grand business management system. You just need like a shared drive, which we'll talk about later on. And also it prevents stress. If you know where money is going, where you're putting your money towards, you know what deadlines you have, and also what expectations you have for your business team.
What business workflow means. So workflow is just how ideas turn into actions, then documentation and results. This isn't just business teamwork. Everyone contributes info. It covers finance, outreach, awards, and long-term sustainability. The key idea is making sure nothing gets lost.
Okay, so great robots don't just happen with good organization around them. So the build season is not the only part of the year. The off season is when grants, outreach, recruiting, and planning happen. So a good workflow helps you retain information as it happens so you're not just scrambling later. During off season, it's important to always ask what can we collect from this activity, even if it's not necessarily beneficial right now. So building season is going to be a lot easier to digest if you have a drive of helpful information that you can collect during off season rather than just starting from scratch.
Alright, so throughout the season and preseason, for your team, you want to capture moments for your team. So, like, for example, photos and videos. So when you're presenting to companies, you can include them in your presentation and slide. We actually did a presentation to a company last month, and what they said was if you have more photos and videos in it, it's more engaging for them, and they get something to watch, and it's not just you talking at them for 30 minutes. You also want event summaries, and you want to keep communication and sponsor contacts. You always need to stay in touch with your sponsors because they're the ones that are giving you your money. But yeah, you just if you can get stuff before you have to make a presentation, then get that then, because whenever you're making the presentation, you can always tweak things in it. You have time, as you should start your presentation quite early if you know you're giving a presentation, but you have time to tweak your presentation and make it perfection before you actually give it.
Alright, so centralized storage. So at Webb, we use a central Google Drive, and all of those have like sub-compartments, so based on your sub-team. One of the sub-teams is obviously business, but we also have outreach and media and all of those things. So that way all members of the team can access every aspect of Webb, and each of those folders have each of the separate things. So the media has all of the photos and the dates, and they're separated by months. But the business one has all of our sponsorship contracts, our budgets, the pitches, our previous success and failures with other companies, and where we should shoot for the next coming season.
Financial tracking made simple. So you don't need fancy accounting software, just track income, expenses, and what money is left. Automation helps but consistency matters more. So this is huge for grant reporting, sponsor transparency, and making smart build season decisions.
Also, this link right here is a budget template, and we'll post this slideshow at the end. So if you just go back to anything that's underlined like this, you can use the template that we use as well. Okay, so sponsors definitely aren't just dollar amounts. We use tracking sheets for contacts, application dates, status, and reporting requirements, and this prevents missed deadlines and duplicate emails. Tracking the length of business partnerships throughout the years makes it easier to show appreciation to loyal partners. Like, for example, for Christmas, we gave a bunch of cards to all of our partners, and we all signed our names on them. And I think stuff like that is really helpful, just showing appreciation to loyal partners, and that's so much easier when you keep a spreadsheet of all the things that you have and all the partners that you kept over the years. So that helps with consistency when leadership changes year to year as well.
Yeah, so sponsor tiers, it kind of tags along to the relationships that you have with your sponsors, because depending on if the sponsor that you're talking to is giving you money or things to build your robot, you can give them different things throughout your seasons that, like, we give social media shout outs, and then like Kate mentioned on the last slide, cards for Christmas, just thanking them for what they've done for us, and also keeping track of this. If we're sending emails, then everyone, even if you're not even on the business team, we keep track of it so anyone can send an email and know everything we need to know about a sponsor.
Okay, so also another thing that we keep track of in our Google Drive is voucher and coupons. So this can include, like, if we submit a grant and they don't give us either, like Ollie said, like items or monetary donations, they'll give us a voucher. So, and that voucher, it prevents wasted resources, so we just keep it all tracked and know when to use that and when they expire, so we don't accidentally misuse them.
Project planning for impact. When building season kicks off, it's easy to get excited and just rush to start everything. Simple planning beats ambitious chaos. So track what you did, who was involved, who you reached, and why it mattered. This feeds directly into impact award, engineering notebooks, grants, and end-of-year reports. One activity can support multiple things.
Okay, so for getting sponsors, we suggest starting local because many businesses like supporting nearby teams. It makes them feel a little bit more special. And taking initiative is especially important. Explaining to these businesses why they are special, like what differences they can make, and making sure your requests are direct. Like, don't beat around the bush and say, like, we would maybe like some money. Like, make sure you have a specific request, and that gives them something to base it off of. Like, they don't know how much money is normally a good sponsor for a robotics team. And then highlight what makes your team unique and what sponsors get in return. Like for us, because we have a pretty large outreach on social media, we use that a lot to entice them, because social media shout-outs are a big part. Then also, of course, just like their name on your robot and then other things like that. We also like to say a lot of times that the kids in our robotics team are the future employees of theirs, so when their names get out there, they're kind of like buzzwords. Like, those businesses are going to, in turn, these are kids that are working in STEM and then are going to become employees one day. So it's good to have those connections and build them in high school. And then using connections like parents, mentors, and alumni. Always follow up and say thank you, and professionalism matters a lot.
So the main thing we wanted you to get from this presentation, we did jump around a bit to different topics. But the main thing is keep everything in one place. The shared drive, and then don't have like 10 different budget tracking sheets, because then you have no idea which one to go to, and it just takes time, and time is, as they say, time is money. So yeah, but keep everything on one shared drive, and then you can sort those into folders, and then you can just go from there. And one thing, we use one drive for the entire team and everything, and it just makes everything so much easier to find.
Yeah, to add off of that, our drive, we keep it in we have one big drive, but then separate folders with separate folders inside of that, and that just makes it so that instead of having everything everywhere, not just for business, but also I know media has it too, and the other teams. It makes it so much easier so that for passing on from year to year, when you have new kids coming in, it's so much easier to show them where to find things, and to get things closer to when building season actually starts. When you have all of that organized beforehand, it feels like you have all the pieces and you can just put them together rather than just starting from scratch when that starts.
All right, yeah, thank you guys. Feel free to ask questions. This is the QR code towards our presentation, so if you're interested in any of the other sub-team stuff, you can take a look at that.
Okay, so real quick, are you able to pull up the link to one of the documents?
I can try.
Can you see if you can pull up the sponsor? Go back.
The other one.
What would be something you would like say, like you're reaching out to a sponsor for the first time, like what are you putting in that email?
Yeah, that's a good question. So if you are reaching out, so if you didn't hear her question was, if you're reaching out to a company for the first time and you're writing a grant or whatnot, what do you say? So I think it's really important to show what you're doing, what the future of your Webb Robotics, our team, and also your team, like what you're contributing, right? You don't want to just list out, oh, we did this and this. You want to show how you can not only benefit them, but also how they're going to benefit from you. And I think having that sort of partnership is what really compels other like grants, what really will make you successful in writing grants. Yes.
So when does your business season, like when do you really start thinking about the next year? And is there like a specific time when a lot of applications are due? Or is it just kind of always a working thing?
Well, so the business season is the off season. So in that time we're working for grants and we're talking to different sponsors because we need the sponsorship items. It depends on if it's actual physical things for the robot or money. You want to have that for the next year, so then you can have all of that ready for your next year, because that's when you're going to use everything. And also, if you have any leftover money from the year before, you can calculate that in, because some years you have to do way more work to get more sponsors, and some years you don't have to do as much.
Yeah, and sometimes the applications will start even in the summertime. So the best way to look at those is to just kind of look at them throughout the year, and they'll have deadlines. And a lot of the larger companies, like the national ones, they'll have deadlines for every year, like a grant cycle. And so you can just fill that in your template. So this is an example of one of the templates that you can access through the presentation later on if you want to use this. And so, for example, you have your certain company, you can include the deadline, and then if you qualify or not, application notes, you can check it off once you've submitted it. And there are a lot of different categories. They go all down there. And then we highlight in green if we're successful with something. It's easier to see. We highlight in red if we're not successful with something. We'll put notes off to the side, like we didn't get it this year, but ask again next year. We usually get 1,500. So that's a good way to keep track of lots of different information in like from one group of people to the next group the following year. And then Kate, can you click on the tab at the bottom where it says sponsor recognition? This is another really big important thing that you need to remember throughout this season, that you need to recognize your sponsors. And you can't recognize them too much. So when people give you money, they want to feel like you appreciate it, and it makes them feel good. And then if you show them what you're doing throughout the season, like give them links to your social media, for example. Say, please follow us. And then one of the opportunities to thank them is a post. So you have different sponsorship tiers, those are important. And then right here, so we have the grant we got, the results, and what if they need the recognition. And then there's a sponsor level that's pulled up, and we have little boxes there, and we check, we have a box for like which sponsorship they did. So we can easily see, okay, well, example, the top one, $500, it needs recognition. They need those first 2 boxes to be completed. So we need Instagram thank you post, including the sponsor logo and a tag. and we need to send them a card with a photo in it. And if you can just get some generic cards and sign them at one of your team meetings, just have everyone sign and pass them around, and then stick a photo in there and send it to your sponsor, that means a whole lot. And then they can kind of sit it up somewhere if they want to. But this is something we added this year, sponsor recognition. I just wanted to throw that in. And so again, that's one of the templates you'll get. There are 3 templates that are linked in here. One for budget, one for sponsor stuff and grants, and the other is for, what's the third one for?
Voucher.
Voucher. Yeah, keeping track of your vouchers and coupon codes and things like that.
If you don't have a large social media presence, what are other ways that you talk to sponsors about getting those sponsorships?
So we just went to the airport and presented a grant proposal the other day, and some things that helped us were, we didn't necessarily actually mention social media that much, but more things that help are talking about your outreach. So we do a lot of community service, and talking about going to Boys and Girls Club and places that maybe are less fortunate, just helping kids out and bringing robotics to the youth. That's something that really entices businesses because it makes them feel like they're making a difference in the community. Also adding a personal aspect to it, not necessarily photos of kids because that's a little bit risky, but having certain things making things feel more personal. It's a lot harder to feel engaged in a presentation when it's just a bunch of numbers on the screen, but talking about specific things that you're doing, we helped build an arcade machine for the Boys and Girls Club, and talking about things like that makes it feel a lot more special. So yeah, you don't necessarily need to have a big presence, but just showing how this is helping other people and making them feel like they're making a difference too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
I have a question. I'm curious how many kids are on the business team and if they have individual roles. Basically, how are you guys organized? Do you have a marketer, communication person, CFO?
We don't have it broken down that specifically for our business sub-team. What we do at kind of the beginning of the year is we encourage all of the participants, all the students, to check out the different sub-teams and see which one feels right for them. And people who are within the sub-team, they work together during the meetings. And they said, oh, we need a presentation. So everyone was working together at our meetings to build this presentation. And then they work together to decide on their own. I just kind of float around, and they decide on their own how they want to do it. And for photos and stuff like that, we have a marketing or media sub-team, so they do that kind of stuff. So we communicate across the different sub-teams a lot. And how many are on our business sub-team right now? We've got
4 or 5.
4 or 5 people, which is a good amount. Last year, I think we had maybe 1 or 2, and it got really overwhelming. So this is the first year I think we've had a business mentor. And so my main role was to help locate grants and connect them with different grant opportunities. And Avi did a lot of writing grant applications, and that was really successful. And so if you have someone who's skilled at something, let them take over a certain aspect of it. So I don't know if that answers your question.
So what are your sub-teams then? It sounds like you have a grant.
Sub-teams are outreach, business,
Scouting and strategy.
Mechanical.
yeah, mechanical.
Mechanical, electrical.
CAD.
Code.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of the main categories that you need for actually building. But like we were saying, our season, grants and opportunities like that and sponsors, that's all some summer, but mostly the fall. Okay? Mostly during the fall, leading up to spring. Yeah.
Right, this isn't too related to business, but you just said you have an outreach sub-team. Is everyone in that, or is it do you have everyone in outreach, or is it just certain people who do outreach?
Everyone's in outreach, but there's leaders and management. So,
Yeah, certain people are in the sub-team and they're on that sub-team, but their job is mostly coordinating the opportunities with Boys and Girls Club, whoever it may be, and then everyone has to complete certain, so many hours. So yeah, everyone's completing outreach activities, but we have a certain number of people who are on the outreach subcommittee who are like coordinating those outreach efforts and attending a lot of them.
Nice.
Any other questions? This is a QR code we'll leave if you on the way out. If you want to scan it, it's a link to our presentation, and you can